Hi, it's Sam Polakoff. Today we'll be reading Chapter 1 from my 2018 thriller, Hiatus. Courage, strength, patience, wisdom. These 4 words will get you through any situation, advised his grandfather long, long ago. Bringing people back from the dead has always been impossible for a reason, his mentor Albert Harmon had cautioned. The voices cascaded upon him in a torrent, flooding his brain as he stood on the precipice of a miracle. A miracle? Yes, to some. To others, it was playing with fire. Albert had warned of unintended consequences, but Ben Abraham was strong in his resolve to move forward. Others used fear to create reasons for staying in a comfort zone, but no scientific breakthrough ever occurred in a comfort zone. He tried to collect himself. His stomach contained a swirling cauldron of acidic witch's brew. At least that's how it felt. Being nervous was okay, he told himself. After all, the years of research, experimentation, trial and error, arguments and debates among his team about next steps and a string of interwoven successes, he had finally arrived at the crescendo. This day represented a vicissitude of human existence. Sylvia Bresling had been dead for a year. If things went well, she would become a household name for being the first human to resume life after lying in a chemically preserved state of death. The daughter and son-in-law of Sylvia Bresling were waiting, eagerly positioned in an observation mezzanine high above the floor where he, Rachel, and Tommy, members of his scientific team, were preparing the body. The required year of hibernation had passed quickly. Ben looked up at the mezzanine. Bresling's daughter, Molly Kendrick, seated beside her husband, had a death grip on the rail before her. She was clearly a wreck, a woman of weak constitution, someone who would likely fall apart at the hint of the smallest complication. He hoped she could keep it together. As a precaution, he stationed 2 members of his team, Bach and Weiskopf, in the observation deck with her. Before him lay the body on a metal table lined with a thin mattress and pillow. Sylvia Bresling wore nothing but a hospital gown and was hooked up to the standard array of life monitoring equipment. Above her, on an oscillating platform welded to the ceiling, was the Liferay. The newest iteration was barrel-shaped with a variety of rotational capsules, each roughly half the length of the main unit. He gave the order, and Rachel Larkin slowly activated the device. The quiet mechanism efficiently and effectively began its work, and one by one, the capsules on the side of the machine rotated in proper sequence until Sylvia Bresling's body had been enveloped exactly 12 times for the prescribed time limit. The group in the observation deck all sat forward, anxiously waiting, watching for any sign of life. All of the monitors were silent, offering little hope. The Liferay completed its sequence. Nothing. 7 precious minutes passed. Still nothing. All of the research had led Ben to believe the awakening process would begin immediately. The despair in the room caused the oxygen to vanish. His colleagues looked as dejected as he felt. With his head hung low, embracing the realization that there was nothing else to do, Ben began to ready himself for the difficult conversation with Molly and Jeff Kendrick. Courage, strength, patience, wisdom. Then, a single solitary blip from the heart monitor, and then another, and another. Son of a bitch, they had actually done it. Any shade of doubt had been eviscerated by the audible beep of a machine registering cardiac activity. From the remaining medical apparatus, he could see that Sylvia Bresling's lungs were taking in air. She was breathing on her own. All indicators were progressing toward normal ranges, including her heart rate and blood pressure. He kept a watchful eye for reflexes and muscle tone, as well as any pupillary activity. Molly screamed in joy, while the others tried to calm her. Ben had worried all along that Molly's emotional euphoria might disrupt her mother's awakening. No one could be sure what the mother's mental state might be. After making sure her vitals were stable, Bach and Weiskopf escorted Molly and Jeff to the floor. Molly and her mother were about to be reunited. Ben watched as they came through the double doors and walked toward the table where the body of Sylvia Bresling lay. She was breathing. Her heart was pumping, but she was not yet conscious. They stood around her for a few minutes discussing all of the what-if questions for which no one had definitive answers, when suddenly Sylvia's left eyelid began to twitch, and then her right did the same. Her face tightened briefly, as if they were about to sneeze, and just as quickly it subsided. Sylvia's eyes opened. She seemed alert. Ben flashed his trademark smile, the one that told the world how confident he was. "Hello, Sylvia. Welcome back. I am Dr. Abraham. Do you remember me?" But Sylvia did not reply. "We're going to get you up slowly, Sylvia. Your daughter and son-in-law are here and anxious to spend the day with you." Sylvia sat up slowly. Tommy was behind her, supporting her upper torso in case she collapsed. Rachel was ready with a sip of water from a long, flexible straw. Sylvia refused the water, cleared her throat, and looked around. "Mom," Molly cried. "Mom, oh my God. My heart won't stop fluttering. I can't believe this is really happening." Jeff stood by her side and smiled. Sylvia stared blankly at her daughter. Her face contorted grotesquely, and she snapped, "Who are you people, and why am I in the hospital?" At that instant, Ben Abraham knew he had reached an impasse. Years of research and experimentation, endless scientific permutations, algorithms, chalk talks, and debate, and no one had considered the possibility of an awakened patient being devoid of memory. Hiatus is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever online books are sold.